All right, folks, welcome back. We are going to be doing the thoracic cavity dissection today. So our thoracic cavity is about from here to here, okay? So what we're going to start out by doing is taking our scalpel, and when you're cutting with your scalpel, always make sure you're cutting away from yourself, okay? So we are going to just start a little tiny nick right up here. And we want to then stick our scissors in and cut down towards the arms. And then we're going to stick the scissor back in and we're going to go down this way. Okay, so I'm going to extend this cut here, extend the cuts on both sides, and I'll see you in just a second. All right, folks, so I've made my cuts and I can pull this open and see the structures on the inside. Now, since we have metal trays, our T-pins are not going to hold this open, which is why you guys are going to do this as partners, and you guys can help hold it open for one another. It's going to be a little more difficult for me because I can't hold it and do as many things as I need to do, but I am going to point out a few things. These clearer looking structures here, those are the ribs, okay? And we did break some of the ribs in the process of pulling that out. That's totally okay, all right? It's not going to affect anything. We also cut next to the sternum. You can see the clear looking stuff here. That is the sternum. And so some of that sternal cartilage we actually ended up cutting through. All right. So what I'm going to do to make this easier, I don't want you guys to do it, but I'm going to cut this down a little bit further and then cut it off, because I can't really hold this and show you guys what I need to show you, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, folks, so I did go ahead and cut the ribs off. You can see a little bit better here. Each of these is a rib, and then this is your costal cartilage here, and then, of course, this is the pectoralis muscles on the opposite side. As I said, I don't want you to do this, but since I don't have a lab partner to hold it open for me, this allows me to do what I need to do and still allow the camera to see what needs to happen, all right? So this dark tissue here is a lung, specifically the right lung, and then this here is the heart. And this squishy thing up here is actually part of the thymus gland. Okay, the thymus gland is one of our lymphatic organs, and it gets smaller as we age. And so this one isn't as large as it could be. This is probably a adolescent that was about to become an adult. And essentially here, we're going to be taking a closer look at some of these structures, and we also need to dissect some of the neck. So what I'm going to do, again with my scalpel, cutting away from myself, I am going to cut some of these tissues. And actually, I am going to flip this guy around so you can see the cut I'm doing, and give me 1 second. Alright guys, so this is going to be a little awkward because now it's not on my right side, so it's not dominant hand, but this way you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just cutting through some of the skin here to get it so that I can get my scissors in, and I am going to be opening up the neck region, so hopefully we'll be able to see the trachea and some of those structures. Okay, so a little bit more. As I said, it's awkward because this is not my dominant side, but if I did it the other way, you guys can't see. All right. Okay, so kind of pulled back all of that. And we still have a little tissue here we want to cut through with the scissors. And be careful because there is important stuff in here we want to be able to see. Okay. All right. So this right here, I'm going to get my probe in here to do a little rough dissection of some of this connective tissue. Okay. All right, so you can see that very nicely. So up here, you can see this is his jawbone up here. So this is the larynx, right? You can see here, this lighter colored stuff, that is the cricoid cartilage, right? So remember, the cricoid cartilage is part of the larynx. It's helping to support the hyoid bone and also the vocal cords, okay? So that's your cricoid cartilage. And so here we see the trachea. It's very obvious this is the trachea because you have those C rings of cartilage. In between each of those darker rings of cartilage, you have the lighter colored ligaments, okay? So tracheal ligaments alternating between the tracheal cartilage C rings, okay? So from here all the way down this way is your trachea, all right? Now, we also have some important vessels on either side. We're not going to entirely worry about identifying right now, but you are going to have your carotid arteries. I think I can see one over here very nicely. You guys won't be able to see that. And of course here, you have your sternocleidomastoid. So that is a part of it, holding muscles up here. This was a portion of it coming across, okay? And so these muscles are down here, a deeper dissection. And as we're getting in here, this is your thymus gland, as we mentioned before, okay? So let's go ahead, and now that you're on the other side, I will point out that this is the left lung. We still have the heart here, okay? All right, so let's kind of do moving things around with our fingers here, kind of pulling back on those lung tissues, and you can see that you have a few different lobes of the lungs, okay? And then we have our heart in the center. What I'm going to do is very gently pull up on the tissues that are connecting the heart to the diaphragm, okay? And I want to kind of pull up on this thymus gland, again, very carefully separating some of that fascial tissue. And I want to see if I can pull off the thymus gland. There we go, because I think some of you would have said that this was your blood vessels on the base of the heart, but it's not. As you pull it up, you can see that there are blood vessels there. So you're going to have your vena cava and your aorta and various vessels right up here. This just sits right on top, okay? And as I said, as you age, this involutes or gets smaller, which is why your T cells are only able to be educated during the younger years of your life. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that thymus gland off the rest of the way and move it over here, okay? And we are going to, again, just do a light, rough dissection. And I'm not sure how well you can see the diaphragm here. Diaphragm is running right in this area. And so let me try to go ahead and tip him a little bit. And he's doing a crazy back bend that he would not be happy about in life. But you can now see, hopefully, that this here is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is at the base of the thoracic cavity, and it's going to contract and pull down into the abdominal cavity, increasing the space of the thoracic cavity, allowing you to take a breath. And then when it relaxes, it pushes back up, and in doing so, decreases the space in the thoracic cavity, causing you to exhale, okay? So, we've seen that. We're going to go ahead now and try to disentangle some of these things so we can see them a little bit better. So, I'm just pulling off more fascia, and I want to point out this structure right here. You guys see that? So this structure here is going to be your inferior vena cava. It's returning blood from the abdominal cavity, and it's going to be bringing it back to the right atrium of the heart, okay? And I'm trying to see if we can pull some of this. I don't want to break things yet, but I want you guys to, there we go. All right, and a little bit above that, this structure right here that I just broke is the aorta, okay? So that is going to come and run back down into the abdominal cavity, bringing new blood in, okay? So I think that's as much in situ that we can see with the heart. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple snips to release it. Okay, and so here is our rabbit heart. So this was the anterior portion that we were looking at, and there is the posterior portion, okay? And so we can see some of the different branches. I'm going to go ahead and, just like you may have done before in other classes, we're just going to cut down here and open that up. Ooh, okay. So, you see all of that black stuff? Blood. That is all congealed blood. Now, what's interesting is, because we have congealed blood, it actually very clearly shows us where the different chambers of the heart are. Otherwise, it would have been collapsed down a little bit and we wouldn't have seen as well. So we have our large ventricles down here, and we have our atria up here, much smaller, okay? We can also see a couple vessels up in here, and you see this tissue coming across. That is going to be some of your valve, all right? So this is a really good peek. The clotted blood in there has done a great job of allowing us to see the structures a little bit better than we would have otherwise, okay? So we've already done our heart dissection, so I'm not going to focus in on that too much, but we can now see our lungs a little bit better, okay? So our left lung over here, our right lung over here. So our right lung should have 3 lobes. What are the 3 lobes again? Anybody remember? Superior, inferior, and middle. Good. So, easy names, right? So our superior lobe, we can separate out, see it over here by itself. Middle lobe is here, and our inferior lobe is right there, okay? Now on this side, we only have 2 lobes. What are the 2 lobes on the left side? Superior and inferior, right? Now, the reason for that is our cardiac notch, right? So the cardiac notch is taking up space on this side, and so we only end up with 2 lobes, okay? Now, remember, the heart had the apex inferiorly and the base superiorly, but the lungs are opposite. The apex is superior and the base is inferior. The base actually touches the diaphragm, okay? So what I'd like you to do very carefully is go ahead and see if you can pull the lungs out with your fingers. I want you getting your stuff in here. Okay, actually I wasn't meaning quite like that, but hey, it all came out in one piece. And so you can see the 3 lobes here really nicely. So superior, inferior, and middle, you can see very nicely here. You can also, I don't know how well this is going to show up in the video, but hopefully you'll see it on your own. You can see the imprints of the ribs on the lungs here, okay? There's those lines, and that's from the ribs. I want you to go ahead and squeeze it a little bit. You feel how squishy it is because the lungs are basically just tissues filled with air. And so they tend to be very squishy because of that. And so we can do the same thing on the other side. Go ahead and pull them up a little bit so you can get a better look. And you should be able to see some imprints of the ribs and be able to separate out your lobes and get a good look at those, okay? Now, the other structures that we have that we look at here are the bronchi and the bronchioles and the alveoli. All of those are microscopic. They're too small for us to see what's going on. But what we can see, we had our trachea here, right? And so we want to see, coming down here, where our trachea is going to bifurcate into the carina and then the primary bronchi. Okay, you guys see that there? So, trachea goes all the way down here. It ends in the carina, right there, and then it comes this way and becomes the right primary bronchi, and this way and becomes the left primary bronchi. Okay, so we're not going to be able to see any further detail of branching after the primary bronchi, but we can see those right there. All right.